Sometimes the best way to explain how we help our clients is to tell actual stories from the field. For this segment, I've chosen some of my favorites that show how our clients have solved big, yet common talent problems with our methodology. The first story is about how we help clients mitigate their talent risk using practical knowledge transfer. The client was a major food distributor with a complex IT organization. The expert responsible for their pricing database was the only person who knew how to maintain the system managing data on millions of unique products. A simple error could lead to million-dollar mistakes. To add to the complexity, the expert had already left the job, moved away, and was fully engaged in a new position inside the company. For 2 years, his replacements had been trying to learn this new role and take over from him. But like a lot of engineers, this expert wasn't what you'd call a people person, nor a natural teacher. The transition was going so badly that the expert would have to routinely fly to Houston from his new base in the Midwest to look after the database. So as part of a larger engagement, looking at their overall talent risk, my team wrote a plan to transfer the expert's knowledge to 2 replacements. This served 2 purposes: putting his successors in the driver's seat so they could lead their own onboarding, and creating a measurable way to ensure the risk was reduced. They took charge right away, and after 2 months, these 2 replacements came back to management and said, "We're ready." Now, the senior vice president, the executive who would get the call if there was a problem with the database, she said, "I don't believe you're ready. It's only been 2 months. You guys have been trying to learn this stuff for 2 years." She wanted proof. So we quickly called a meeting, and the executive spent about an hour on the phone testing the replacements using our process while the expert listened in. She asked them very detailed questions with the expert validating their answers until she was satisfied. It was proof that the 2 had extracted the information, were ready to do the work, and the talent risk was mitigated. Here's another client story that highlights our simple framework for an informed, aligned conversation on talent risk. The CIO of a mobile tech giant was leading her division through a transition and wanted to ensure that her team, top to bottom, was clear on the big picture and aligned on their most important tasks. This may sound simple, but I can assure you it's a lofty goal for most organizations. We helped the CIO write her big picture statements and helped all her VPs write theirs. We also gathered talent risk data on more than 2,000 employees and contractors globally. Then we gave them a framework for an alignment conversation. The CIO's big picture made her priorities around simplicity, efficiency, managing customer expectations, and globalizing the workforce very clear. She could then compare her big picture with the talent risk data and big pictures of her leadership team and look for any disconnects. Even though the CIO and her VPs had been working closely for 18 months to execute her vision, the exercise showed clear areas where they were not yet in alignment. For example, the talent risk data showed an imbalance of workload leveling that contradicted her plan for a global workforce. And her emphasis on simplicity was held back by the overlapping work they could now see between leadership team members. The CIO and her leadership team loved the simplicity of the alignment conversation, which enabled quick corrective action, including leveling the global workload. They immediately began to use the same framework to cascade this conversation down to all levels of the organization. At the end, there was clarity of the big picture and measurable alignment top to bottom. And here's a story that shows how you can use talent risk data to inform and guide big decisions. An IT director for global plants at a Fortune 500 manufacturer had inherited a team that was spread across 9 locations and was struggling under the weight of a complex set of legacy systems. An added challenge was that the team had just gone through a heavy layoff. When the director took over, his plan was to reorganize, centralizing blocks of work to make things more efficient. In advance of actually pulling the trigger on this reorg, he asked our firm to analyze the talent risk implications of his plan. So, using our framework and tools, we proved that the specialized knowledge and relationships held by specific workers in those 9 locations was so great that if he reorganized without first methodically transferring that knowledge, it would pose too big a risk. And we pinpointed specific experts whose specialized knowledge was so great that transferring that knowledge according to his plan made no sense at all. It would have taken up to 4 years to get everyone stabilized with his original plan. Instead, by analyzing the talent risk beforehand, he realigned the group differently to create more efficient virtual teams in only 16 months. So if you'd like to be our next success story, let's start a conversation. Contact our team. Our phone number and email are on the website.